Do the Democrats have a secret plan to pass health care reform? Joins live is Republican Senator Jim DeMint. Is there a secret plan? Do they have a bill?
I guess you could call it secret, Greta, because they haven't written it yet. So it's not a matter of whether or not we're going to get to read it. What they're working on now in the Senate is a plan it's a concept, and it's a summary. There's no real legislative language. We have no idea what it really is going to say, what it's really going to cost. And so they're going to pass something out of committee and bring it to the floor and attach it to another imaginary bill. I think the more I explain what's really going to happen, the less Americans will believe that it's really going to happen that way.
If there's anything good to come out of this, I think whether you're for something or not for something, or for something in between, I think it really has put a spotlight on how legislation is passed. With all due respect, I mean, there's a lot of interest. I mean, you can rename a post office or something, but when things transform the economy, really change people's lives, and it comes in with stacks of paper, and the opposing side doesn't get to read it and is forced to vote on it, it's disturbing, I think.
It is disturbing, and I think, like you were saying, the good things coming out of this are Americans are saying, why can't we read the bill? Why can't you put it on the internet so we can see what's really in it and have some time to determine what it's really going to do to our lives? Those are fair thoughts right now, and I think this is exposing the worst side of Congress, and it's showing why this Congress over the last several decades has gotten this country in so much trouble. There are so many unintended consequences of what we're doing now that we don't think through. We don't even write the legislation, for heaven's sakes. We pass things and allow the bureaucrats to transform it into some kind of legal system. It's really hurting our country. We need to change the way we do things.
In defense of lawyers, which I'm probably the only one who will still defend lawyers, but if the legislation isn't written clearly, and we just had a discussion a second ago about whether, the issue about whether you can write clear language about whether there should be federal funding or should be for abortions. Yes, right, there should be no funding or there should be for abortions, whatever. You can write it in a sense. If it doesn't get written clearly, it gets sent out across the country. People don't understand. Then they start bickering all across the country. Then everyone starts filing lawsuits. And then all of a sudden it ends up for some judge, and the judge can't figure it out. Then the judge has to come up with some explanation. Now the judge is an activist judge. And if you write things clearly, we have less disputes. And the problem is we don't even get to see what you're writing. It hasn't been written yet. It gets passed, and it is just gobbledygook. And everyone hates the lawyers.
And we're not supposed to write legislation so people can't understand it. But you're right. We write things that are very vague. The regulators can transform it into something we didn't intend. It happens with almost every piece of legislation. Then lawyers on different sides are arguing in front of a judge.
Who get pulled in. And I'm not saying that the lawyers are the good guys in this.
But they're doing their job.
They get dragged in. If it's written clearly, you don't have a dispute as often.
You have one judge set one precedent and another judge set another. And this is not the way to run a country, the greatest country in the world. And we don't have to do it that way. But they use bills to stick so many things in them now to political objectives rather than actually trying to improve our health care system, for instance. There's so many things in this bill that have nothing to do with improving our health care system.
That's another issue, but there isn't even any bill yet to even decide whether it's good for us or not, and so we can't figure out whether it's cost or anything like that. But I don't think, as a voter, I will ever vote for anyone who votes against transparency. Yeah. Because the very reason we send people to Washington is to make decisions for us, to help us, but at least we ought to be able to see what you're voting on. And anyone who won't give us 2 weeks to look at it when there's no rush.
Well, the president promised that. He promised we would have time. I think he said 5 days on the internet, completed bills. But he hasn't followed that promise one time.
What about the majority leader, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid? Is he pushing for it?
No, he's not pushing for it.
And he's in trouble at home. He might improve his standing at home with his numbers.
All of us should be in trouble for what we're doing up here now. The country is in so much debt. We're on a precipice of economic disaster. Our foreign policy is so confusing no one understands it. And instead we're pushing health care, a takeover by government, when the health care plans the government's running now are in debt and corrupt. So it's pretty frustrating.
Indeed. Senator, thank you.
Sorry for the